it's Masterath here, and welcome to a very special Global Trophy intro. We welcome you to the 20th annual Global Trophy. The 2024 Global Trophy is finally here, and we are here with an intro. Not a preliminary, that'll be next week. But we will be here, well, that'll be next week. But we are here with the intro to the 20th Global Trophy, a huge milestone. I am Masterath, and I'm joined, as always, alongside
Sam Elliott, 64. Yeah, 20 years of the Global Trophy. Obviously, as Chris said, we are going to do the preliminaries as normal next week. However, this time around, instead of giving everyone the usual info dump at the start of the European preliminary qualifier, as we have done for the last couple of years, we thought we'd dedicate a separate video to that for newcomers to the series, or those just passing through and want to get a little bit of information about all the other teams that we've kind of gone through history with, really.
Yeah, exactly. And well, it's obviously 20 years of history that we've sort of got going here, and essentially what we're going to be doing in this small little intro is maybe we'll put in some predictions of our own, potentially about how we think things are going to go in the tournament. We haven't started any of the tournament at all so far. This is actually the first time I think that Sam, that me and you have actually spoken since Christmas, at least when it comes to voice recording, I think, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute. We've both had a busy year, I think. Yeah. But Chris, you've had a big birthday this year. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well done for surviving as long as you have.
I've survived my 20s. Will I survive my 30s? I'm not too sure. And changed jobs as well this year. So, lots of odd stuff's happened, I guess.
Very good, very good.
Yep. But also, we're going to be showing off, essentially, our top 20 teams. These are the top 20 teams, and maybe some choice extras as well. I wonder who they might be.
We'll get to them when we get to them. But there's some special choice extras in there, for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The comments will not be able to understand. They won't be able to... They won't even fathom to guess
who they might be.
Yeah, no chance. Maybe two of them have a letter D in them?
Maybe. Who knows?
Potentially. So, yeah. So, obviously we've had... there's been 19 of these. This is the 20th. Sam, you've been around for... I think you've probably now, at this point, been around for more than ones you haven't been around for.
I remember doing one with the first one that Germany won in 2013. It may have been then, so maybe this is like the 11th one I've been with you for. So I think that sounds about right. So yeah, let's say I've done 10 already.
Yeah. So yeah, this will be your 11th of the 20 main Global Trophy tournaments. But then of course there's the Champions as well. So this is your 13th tournament when it comes to the Global Trophy, out of 22. But yeah, main series 11th out of 20. So hey, you've been to more. You've been to more. Than,
I attended more than I haven't.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, honestly, it is a delight every year. Just this game is can throw up some absolute nutty results. It really, really can. Let's not look any further than last year. Having Ukraine in the final with Germany. And the year before that, Czech Republic. Czech Republic a couple of years ago were a pre-qualifying team. So anything can happen. It literally can, and it always throws up a surprise. Although since moving over to YouTube, at least, European teams have absolutely dominated the whole competition.
Yep. For the last 8 years, European teams have dominated. The last team that's not European to win the Global Trophy was Brazil back in 2015.
Yeah, a long time ago now.
Been a long old time, but who knows? Maybe the comments will get their wish this year. Who knows? Please don't have a go at us if another European team bloody wins. It's not our fault.
It's not down to us. We're not trying to. We're really not trying to force it.
It's a simulated game. It's not our fault.
The only thing that we control is the one-player team, and we have to make sure they're in the top half of the bracket so we actually see what's going on.
Yeah, that's just so we can document, essentially so I can document on my on my global trophy rankings exactly what each of the matches were and the goal difference, etc., etc. But yeah, speaking of that, 3 more years and we've got our 3rd Champion of Champions, the 2026 tournament. So obviously we had last year's 2023 tournament. That's essentially the first of 4 tournaments that will set up our 32 teams in the Champion of Champions. And so pretty much you could say that last year's champions and last year's runners-up pretty much already there.
You know, looking at we looked at the previous point threshold. There is a whole Excel spreadsheet that Chris has done in the background, by the way. It's fantastic. It really, really is. And there is a points threshold which teams, generally if you reach it, you'll get in. And I want to say that everyone down to the top 4, I think, from last year's competition, the 2023 competition, will have qualified the previous time, right? So the likelihood is that, I say, the winners from last year, Germany, and runners-up Ukraine, and then the 2 losing semi-finalists, UAE and Portugal, I think it was.
Yeah, Portugal being in the top 4 again.
I know, they're on an absolutely crazy run of form. But those 4 are pretty much guaranteed to get in. You'd probably say Argentina as well, given that they made the quarterfinals and won the Americas section. But, stranger things have happened. Maybe they go on an absolutely abysmal run for 3 years now. Who knows?
Well, you never know. Well, obviously the last Champion of Champions, we had Spain, didn't we? Who finished runner-up in the Champion of Champions, but were actually, ranked 26th?
Yeah, they had a pretty miserable run of the qualifications. I think their best finish was a quarterfinal in the main competition. I think they qualified twice, but one quarterfinal was their best finish. So who knows? I mean, I used a bad example with Argentina because they are the current champion of champions, so they get automatic qualification anyway. But the point still stands. Something like that could happen.
Yeah, but also they're and we'll get to that in very briefly. They are also the global trophy ranked number 1.
They are. So... They are the best team in the game, hands down.
Yeah. So should we get to our top 20 seedings? I guess.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yes, it'll be the term. I know. Roscoe Whitey or Ross loves our calling them seeds and heats, remembering our roots, and stuff like that. So there's seedings for this tournament. Let's go.
Yep.
But yeah, our number 1 is Argentina, quite obviously. Global Trophy ranked number 1. And the only team in Global Trophy history to have won over 100 games in the main Global Trophy tournament.
They are the absolute juggernauts of the whole competition, aren't they? I mean, you can see there 11 continental championships, 3 main championships as well. They've made it to 15 Global Trophy finals. Every single time they've made the top 8. They've also been runner-up on 3 occasions. They've also been champion of champions. Argentina are just the best team in the game. They're just occasionally a bit unlucky. They don't always win. It would be very boring if they always won, wouldn't they? And yeah, they're definitely going into this competition as probably, if not the favourite, one of them.
Yep, and they may have a chance if they can win another Americas section this year. Not only will they potentially be the team with the most championships in the entirety of the Global Trophy, surpassing their current tie-break with Australia with 15, but also they may be the first ever team in the Global Trophy to have won the Americas section, be the Champion of Champions, and win the Global Trophy in the same year.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, isn't it? Because obviously they won the Champion of Champions in 2022. Yeah, I mean, to be honest as well, with Argentina, looking at them, they always, if they lose to, they always tend to go on to win. I've noticed in the last couple of years. Last year obviously was an exception. Portugal didn't go on to win. Argentina is mental, aren't they? They just win all the time.
Yep, they're a very, very devastating team. 124 wins. We're about to get to our rank number 2, who has the second highest amount of wins in the Global Trophy, and it's nowhere near 100. It's actually the record-breaking 4-time Global Trophy champions, France.
Yeah, the French were the first team to win when the Global Trophy came to YouTube in 2017. Before that, they hadn't won in 8 years. I said, the only ones ever to have won 4. They've been runner-up on 2 occasions, as you can see, 2010, 2020. They are also European champions 6 times over, which I think puts them level with Italy for most continental wins in Europe, which I'm going to say Europe's probably the most competitive of the continental qualifiers.
Well, especially with their last 8 winners have been from Europe, so yeah, I don't think anyone would really be able to argue that against that really.
No, and the fact that so many different teams have won in Europe as well. Like, it's not just France and Italy that win it every year. In the last 5 years, we've had 5 different winners. It's crazy. The French are also one of those teams. They tend to go out to top opposition. Last year, I think. Who did they lose to last year?
Romania.
They got knocked out. Oh, did they really?
Yeah, they got knocked out by Romania in round 2 of the qualifiers. So not an amazing run for France in that one, because remember it was them. We lost to England lost to Romania first, didn't we?
That was it.
Bloody round.
Class there from England as always. Yeah. But yeah, France. One of the teams to watch out for. They tend to do okay. That said, they have had occasions like last year where they get knocked out by a lot lesser opposition. They lost to, I think, Morocco in a Global Trophy finals once upon a time as well.
Yeah, that sounds about right on that one. Yeah,
and obviously Romania, beaten them last year. So France, ones to watch.
Yep, and France alongside Argentina, the only 2 teams to have won 3 global trophies and go undefeated. Including winning their continental qualifiers in that year as well. Argentina have done it all 3 of their times. France have done it 3 times. They couldn't do it in 2017 because they actually made it to the final of the 2017 European qualifiers to lose out to the Czech Republic, who, obviously, bigger things would come for them in the future. But that was also the first qualifier to go on YouTube as well.
It was. And that was kind of the genesis, really. We were both very young back then. I think I was merely 21, I think. So it's a good while ago now. Times have changed.
Yeah, definitely. And then we get to our rank number 3 here, which is rank 3, representing the Americas. Argentina's probably biggest rival in the Americas section, but they've only won it 3 times. It's Brazil.
Brazil, the first ever Global Trophy champion of champions in 2018, beating Nigeria in the final. They also won the Americas Championship in 2018. It's amazing to me that Brazil won the Global Trophy itself before their first local qualifier. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's very strange on that one. And yeah, they did not win the Americas section for a decade.
Argentina were busy winning it most of the time themselves.
That's true.
However, they were. But to be fair, other teams did win it in between. Ecuador won it, for God's sake. Come on.
Chile won it.
Chile won it. Paraguay, Mexico in there as well.
Paraguay won it.
Yeah. Paraguay these days, they're not pre-qualified, but they're mid-pack for the FIFA ranked teams. They're not a big fish at all.
Yep.
Go on.
Obviously Brazil. Probably their best performance in the last couple of years, finished runner-up in the Global Trophy to the Czech Republic. So, yeah, that was their chance to win their 3rd Global Trophy and join Argentina and Spain.
They were on an absolute tear that year. They made the final, I think it was, in the 2022 qualifiers. They beat Argentina along the way in the semis, didn't they? Everyone must have thought, surely they're just going to beat Czech Republic. Czech Republic had a great run, but it's Brazil. And I was taken off the ball. Didn't quite get it, but you can never discount Brazil, can you? They're one of the top teams for a reason. They're ranked 3 for a reason. Dark horses for this year? They've kind of had a resurgence of form over the last 12 months. But the previous few years before that, it was kind of touch and go whether they'd even, get the qualifying points required for the Champion of Champions. Okay, they won it the last time, but, they are having a really crappy run of form.
Yep, and yeah, pretty much that 2022 runner-up got them enough qualifier points so they wouldn't have to be essentially handheld to the Champion of Champions in 2022. But they were actually semi-finalists in 2022 as well, in the 2022 Champion of Champions.
They weren't losing out to Spain.
Yep. And then we get to rank 4. Our next team on this one. Rank 4 is the current European champions, Italy.
The Italians they give me so much hope every year, and they just ruin it.
I think I think it's whenever you say they're your pick, they lose.
They were semi-finalists last year. No, they weren't. They lost to Germany, didn't they? That was it.
Yeah, I think that was like round 2 or something. But they did win the European Championship,
They did win the European Championship.
Yep, to tie with France on 6 European Championships. So that's one record they've got, at least, alongside joint with Argentina of being the most runner-uppiest of teams in the Global Trophy Finals, alongside Argentina with 3 second places to the name. But unlike Argentina, not a single Global Trophy.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, Argentina can kind of... Okay, they're upset they've lost 3 finals, but they've also won 3. Italy have won none. And that must sting quite a lot, I think, for them. You know, they've obviously... They're obviously an incredible team. They've won Europe 6 times. The fact that they've won the joint most European trophies in the most competitive continent, you know, in the game, and they still haven't won a global trophy. Maybe this is their year. Who knows?
It could be, you never know, but we've obviously got to agree on this one. Greatest team to have never won the global trophy at the moment is Italy.
Yeah, them and probably a couple of others coming up very soon are the ones, if you were going to pick a team that haven't won yet that could win, they'd probably be you put your money on.
Yep, and speaking of champions, or teams that didn't have championships, this is a team that did have a bunch, but it hasn't been for a while. It's ranked 5, Spain.
Spain had the 5-year curse, didn't they? They won in 2006, 2011, 2016, and in 2021 they made it to the finals. We're thinking, oh, are they going to go on that run again? Only to lose in the quarterfinals, didn't they? They lost out to... I can't remember who they lost out to that year, but they lost out. They are one of the best teams out there, and obviously Global Trophy Champion of Champions runners-up as well, losing out to Argentina in the final. One thing with Spain, if you look at their match wins, it's not very high considering they've won 3 competitions, is it?
Yeah, and also if you look at their championships, never won a continental championship, never won Europe as Spain.
No, they were runners-up, I think, a couple of years ago, losing out to Romania, which was pretty embarrassing for them. I think it's fair to say. You know, they should have won that year. They didn't. The trophy cabinet is looking a little bit bare in Spain, but always a solid team. You know, the European segment is so tough, as we've said quite a few times. It is just so competitive, and Spain are one of the reasons why that is the case.
Certainly is, and ranked 5, but it's been 8 years since Spain have tasted any championship at all, so they got a chance. They're high ranked, but their form hasn't been brilliant over the last sort of 5 or 6 years.
Nope, that hasn't, and they've been very inconsistent. You know, as I said, they were ranked 26 going into the last Champion of Champions in 2022, so work to do for the Spanish.
Certainly do, and hey, if there's any team that has a chance of being a global trophy champion that's not from the Americas and not from Europe, you're probably not going to get a bigger team than this. It's 7-time continental champions of Africa, Nigeria.
They are one of the very, very best teams out there. They were runners-up back in 2006 to Spain, nearly winning the global trophy on that occasion. They've been semi-finalists on a number of occasions as well. Finalist in the first ever Champion of Champions, losing out to Brazil. Nigeria have been one of the forces of the global trophy over the years, and they always threaten to do it, don't they? They always get closer. I want to say, was it last year? They lost to Germany as well, didn't they? Along the way, I think.
I think so. Yeah, that might have been like a round 2, I think.
Yeah. So they you know, they're no small fry, Nigeria. You've got to watch out for them. They're going to be there or thereabouts. And you know, if they go out in the continentals, then that'll be a big surprise for me.
Yeah, but Nigeria, the team with the 3rd highest amount of match wins altogether, with 86, behind France and Argentina. So really good from Nigeria there.
Yeah, they tend to be one of the bigger fish in the African pond, which, you know, the African segment in recent years has actually had quite a varied amount of winners as well. They haven't won for the last 3 years, but they did win 3 back-to-back, as you can see, in 15, 16, 17. But, since then, only the one. But, yeah, can't discount Nigeria, can you?
Yep, certainly a team that you'd expect always to do well, Nigeria. Then we get to rank 7. It's the first ever back-to-back Global Trophy champions, Portugal.
And the fact that they did it in their first ever 2 titles as well was just unbelievable. The leap forward that Portugal have had since then has just kind of been crazy. They've... Before winning the Global Trophy in 2018, they'd never even made... they made the quarters, hadn't they? That was it. They'd only made the quarters once.
Yeah, quarterfinals was their best before 2018.
And since then, they've been runners-up again in 2021. They lost out to the Netherlands on that occasion. And they were semi-finalists last year. They lost out to Ukraine then.
They were semi-finalists the year before as well.
Yeah, I know. And they were finalists in Europe as well at one point as well. They've really come on strong in the last couple of years, Portugal. And, quite deserving now of that rank 7, I think.
Yep, they are certainly probably the most consistent team, I think, in recent memory.
Certainly since the Global Trophy has gone onto YouTube. They have been the MVPs, I think.
Definitely on that one. But again, also, never won a Continental Championship. But when it comes to the actual Global Trophy, they usually do quite well. I think it was only their 2020.
Yeah, they went out in the round of 32,
title,
didn't they?
Which they didn't do very well in.
No, they burnt out all of their luck over the last couple of years, I think. But look, Portugal are capable of upsets. They've beaten Argentina in the round of 8 last year. They beat Argentina in the final in 2019, of course, to get the back-to-back titles. They are just one of the very best teams out there. And, good luck to them. Good luck to them.
Yep, of course, Portugal, pretty much out of the last 5 global trophies, out of the last 6 global trophies, this team has finished in the top 4 5 times.
It's just crazy. The consistency has been nuts, considering they went, 15 years, basically, not doing anything, and just suddenly, oh yeah, let's go, guys, we're great. And they have been great. They've been great since.
Yep, and they've just been close to unstoppable since, so certainly I'd say we're one of the favourites here. Team on form.
Definitely.
Then we get to our rank 8, the other team that has done back-to-back global trophies, the second team to do so, the Netherlands.
Yep, 4 trophies to their name, the Global Trophy Championship in 2020 and 2021. And if you notice, they're European champions in 2011 and 2020, meaning they went unbeaten for their first ever Global Trophy Championship. One of only 4 teams to do it, I think. Or was it 3?
I believe it's 4, yes.
Did Brazil do it as well? I can't remember.
Yeah, Brazil have done it once as well, yeah.
Okay, so of the however many champions we've had now, the Netherlands are one of the very few that went the whole year unbeaten, and then went the whole year unbeaten again the next year, I think, pretty much. They only lost in the quarters, I think, in the European segment, so one of the best teams out there.
Yep, but over the last couple of years, I will say, though, their form's dropping a bit over the last couple of years.
Mm. Yeah, they didn't get into the finals, did they, in 22 or 3, I think? Maybe they did in 3.
No, they didn't in either of them, so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
okay.
Since their victory in 2021, they haven't got to the final since.
No, that's, they will have to be aware of that going forward. They've got 3 more chances to make sure they get into the Champion of Champions in 26, but... you can't discount them. They are so prolific. They tend to do well anyway. They were highly ranked before the trophy wins, and since then, their stock has only risen.
Yep, certainly. And obviously for the 2022 Champion of Champions, they were ranked number 1.
They were, because they won the 2 titles in the 4-year gap.
Next up, we're nearly at the halfway point of our top 10. It's Cameroon next up. 2-time Global Trophy runners-up.
Yeah, one more than Nigeria, would you believe? But of course, they haven't won it either. They have been African champions on 5 occasions, but none for the last 10 years. That's kind of a crazy thing when you think, they were the big fish in Africa for a while. Nigeria had won less. Nigeria have since, reeled them in and overtaken them and put distance between the two. So, work to do for Cameroon. They have had to, kind of fight their way back through. But at least last year, they there's been some green shoots of recovery. They didn't qualify for last year's tournament though.
So they'll certainly look to try and change that this time round. But still, the team with the second most amount of African championships, 2 behind Nigeria, ranked number 9 though. So still very well favoured, especially with the 71 wins. That's quite high.
It is, and they have been runners up before twice, as I said, but they've also been losing semi-finalists a couple of times as well. I think in the 2018 year they got to the semi-finals and lost to Italy.
Yep, they have gotten close on a few occasions, but again, one of those bright shining lights in Africa, which they have a brilliant team, and maybe it's just a matter of time before that glass ceiling just breaks a bit too much, and one of them makes it and wins it.
Yeah, it can't be far off now, surely.
Yep. Speaking of championships, it's ranked 10, the reigning champions. It's Germany.
Germany's a weird team, right? Because they have 2 global trophies to their name. I wouldn't say that they've been that impressive over the years, right? Am I wrong to say that? They've obviously, they've in the last couple of years, they've really kind of hit a good stride of form. But it wasn't that long ago when Germany were losing quarterfinalists to Saudi Arabia. Do you remember that? That was crazy. And, that's no disrespect to Saudi Arabia, of course. We've seen in real life with how well they've did against, against Argentina, for example. However, when you're considering that, Germany are a global trophy champion twice over now, and they still, losing to a team like that, maybe not anymore because of another team, but at the time, they were certainly considered probably one of the weaker champions in the field.
They were certainly the weakest champion in the field before the Czech Republic. But over the last couple of years, Germany have made leaps and bounds. European champions in 2022, Global Trophy champions in 2023, the biggest beatdown in a Global Trophy final match, as they beat the runners-up Ukraine 6-0 in the finals.
It was unbelievable, wasn't it? We were kind of like, oh my god, are Ukraine going to pull off the ultimate upset here and win the whole thing?
Nope, Germany just stomps them.
Absolutely not. Just crush them into the dirt in the final. It was unbelievable. But, Germany, as I said, in the last couple of years, have really turned things around. They were European champions for the first time in 2022, and, 10 years, the biggest gap ever between global trophy championships. They've come back to form, and they have probably already qualified for the Champion of Champions in a couple of years' time.
Oh, they are there. I'm 100% certain that Germany are there. But yeah, Germany only 52 wins to their name, but that victory in the Global Trophy, the 2023 Global Trophy Championship, has put Germany back into the top 10 at the expense of our ranked number 11 now, Australia.
Oh. Australia had a bad 2023, didn't they? For only the second time in their history failing to qualify for the Global Trophy finals. They are 4-time Asian champions. They are, 9-time Oceania champions until the merger. It wasn't. It was more than that, isn't it? 11 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 11 times. I'm miscounting. 11 times Oceania champions, the only ever Oceania champion. The merger happens between Asia and Oceania. You're thinking, oh, the field's a lot more competitive. Australia turns up, win the first 3 back-to-back. It was sensational.
Yep.
And since then, a few falters here and there, but they've never really pushed on in the finals before, have they?
Yep. I mean, they were unbeaten in continental qualifiers for 14 years. So there is that. That is the longest run. That's the longest string of victories in a continental qualifier in the history of the Global Trophy. But they've never made it to the top 8 of the Global Trophy finals before. And they have been knocked out, 10 times in round 1 in their appearances.
Yeah. They have that kind of invisible glass ceiling, as you kind of mentioned earlier with Cameroon. Australia's very similar. They've kind of been a big fish in Asia and in Oceania as well, obviously. But they've, other Asian teams, who have got less trophies than they do in Asia as well, have made it further. Saudi Arabia have been semi-finalists. UAE last year, semi-finalists.
South Korea, former finalists.
South Korea finalists, you know. And when is Australia going to get that big run? They do end up getting some tough opponents. You know, they tend to play against the big teams early on, but when opportunities have presented themselves, they have choked in the past.
Yeah, but they've certainly made the most of it when it comes to that. I've actually looked at the some of the previous matches of Australia, them losing in the finals of the Global Trophy, and it's been to teams like Germany and Argentina, and they've lost by like 3-2.
Yeah, it's crazy. They put up a good fight, but they just haven't got enough steam to get them through that last little bit. Maybe this year for Argentina. So for Australia, sorry, not Argentina. We've already done them.
You say that now, and Argentina's going to win their fourth, aren't they? But we do get to our rank number 12, and the highest ranked team to have not won anything in the Global Trophy. It's Colombia.
Consistent Colombia is how I would describe them. Because every year they just appear in the round of 8, don't they? In the finals every year, it's just what they do.
Yep, there was I think 3 years that they essentially did their own mini Argentina and qualified, and then made it to the top 8. But I think they've qualified for the Global Trophy finals 5 years in a row.
They're in a good vein of form, aren't they, Colombia? Last year's semi-finalists, losing out to Argentina in the Americas section, but. You know, as you said, they've never won any silverware in their history in the Global Trophy. Who knows? I mean, they're a consistently good team, and they have beaten champions in the past. They've just never had that big opportunity, that big run to take home some silverware. Obviously, their continental competition, incredibly competitive and tough to beat. You know, the likes of Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Mexico. But, you know, they're one of the better teams in that bracket, and, you know, deservedly ranked in and amongst the best teams.
Yeah, and yeah, greatest team to have never won a championship, I think. Either them or South Korea, but we'll get to them in a minute. Next up, it's number 13, a team on the decline, personally, I think. Saudi Arabia.
Well, they haven't won an Asian championship in nearly 10 years. Although if you ask their domestic football league, they're absolutely on the up at the moment in real life.
Just pillaging the leagues right now.
Literally,
pillaging the leagues.
Spending all of the money.
Oh, yeah, all the money. If Mbappe goes there, football's cancelled.
It's over. We'll move on to the next sport. Saudi Arabia. How do we rank Saudi Arabia? I mean, they're ranked 13 for a start. Former Global Trophy semi-finalist, as I said earlier, beating Germany along the way in that year's competition. And... you know, one of the most successful teams in Asia. I think the joint most successful Asian team, I want to say, with Australia.
Yes, yep. Yes. Four-time champions, both sides.
Yep. So one of the best teams in Asia, without doubt. But, you know, we haven't, you know, last year they did struggle. They went out in the semi-finals, losing to Japan. Who knows? I don't know. Saudi Arabia are a weird team. Sometimes, in the words of, you know, Gennaro Gattuso in that one interview that he did, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Oh, how did that not surprise me that came out of Gattuso's gob? Bloke's a nutter.
He is crazy, isn't he?
Yeah. But, yeah, rank 13 Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia have qualified for both of the previous champion of champions, but they've been knocked out in the group stages both times. Choking, essentially, on that. So in Asia, they're quite good. They're not as good as they used to be, at least from what their titles have denoted before. They did win 3 Asian championships in 4 years at one point. But then the finals, I think essentially that big win over Germany to get them into the Global Trophy semi-finals, they've sort of peaked at that point, and maybe they need a build-up to another peak.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think ultimately you have to look at the way that they've... It's unfair to say that, you know, that I think Asia is probably the weakest of the brackets, and I think when they tend to be the first continent to completely go out in the finals. The fact that Saudi Arabia made it to the semis is an incredible achievement, but we've seen that other teams, you know, lesser than them, have made it further. So let's see.
Yeah, we will be getting to them shortly, but first, going back to the Americas, it's ranked 14 Mexico.
Yep, America's champion 11 years ago now, back in 2013. is their one and only trophy. They were runners-up in the Global Trophy Finals in 2017, losing out to France in the very first one posted to YouTube. Again, another team really which in recent years have kind of slipped off the boil a little bit. Would that be fair to say?
I'd agree when it comes to that. I mean, I think really it's sort of been the rise of the USA when it comes to North America over the last couple of years. USA have done a lot better than Mexico over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'd completely agree with that. Mexico is a strong team. Let's not make any mistake about it. You don't win an America section by accident because of the quality of the teams that are down there. You don't get to the finals of the Global Trophy by accident. It's just been a little bit wanting over the last couple of years for Mexico, and I want to see the Mexico of old where they'd be challenging in semi-finals, they'd be challenging in finals. Let's see more of that.
Yeah, could very well be the case that it's essentially Saudi Arabia, North America style.
Yeah, I agree.
Certainly could be for Mexico. We could be seeing teams on the up that can do a Germany, or a Brazil over the last couple of years. A team that you essentially was left in the dust for so many years, but now they've just had such a rich vein of form.
Yeah, precisely.
We could see another one. We could see another one of them hatch this year, pretty much. You never know. But rank 15, certainly a team on the up. It's Japan, the Asian champions.
Yep, 2 Asian championships in the past 3 years, so they've really hit a good run of form, have Japan. Considering they hadn't won one previously since 2008, they've started to get a little bit of a stranglehold on the regional championships in Asia. I don't know what their best finish is in the Global Trophy Finals. I want to say it's a quarters appearance.
Yeah.
Chris, have you got any more information on that?
I'm pretty certain it's a quarterfinal spot.
Okay.
And that was there.
That's still pretty good though.
Yeah, but also obviously 2 continental championships in 3 years with a team like Australia in there is and teams like Saudi Arabia as well in there is mad. And that again, we were talking about earlier about teams that have sort of declined when it comes to form. Japan's is quite good so far in the last couple of years. So, expect them to do well this year. Certainly could do with that momentum going their way.
What's them flop now?
They could do. You never know. But they're a team you expect to do well in the Asian qualifiers.
Generally, you expect them to go through at least to the round of 8.
Usually expect that in the continental qualifiers, and maybe even around 2 in the Global Trophy Finals itself.
Right.
And we get to 16, and it's South Africa, ranked 16, the African champions of 2021.
Kind of rose through the rankings of South Africa in recent years. Like last year, they were runners-up in Africa as well. In 2023, impressive form from them as well. They think they did pretty well in the finals last year as well. I want to say they made it to round 2, if memory serves me correctly.
I think they did get part. I think they did get out of the first round. So yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, they've done really well in recent years. I'm very impressed. South Africa for a while haven't really been anywhere, but they've kind of picked up a lot of good form recently and have established themselves as one of the stronger African nations, really, in the Global Trophy.
And obviously, when it comes to the African nations, you sort of got the big 3. And South Africa, we haven't seen one of them yet. So South Africa is actually above them in the rankings. Which is
crazy to think about, considering that the team that Chris is on about are 4-time African champions and not just the one, like South Africa are. So clearly the consistency of South Africa has been very good.
Yep, certainly, and essentially they haven't got many wins when it comes in comparison to other teams in the top 20, but they've made those wins count. They certainly have, in comparison to ranked 17 Senegal.
Yep, they are the current African champions. They've won 4 in total: 2008, 2010, 18, and 23. They're a frustrating team, Senegal, because as we've seen, they clearly have the capability to beat the best in Africa, and therefore equally have the capability to beat the best in the world. And the fact that they're so low, it's surprising to me.
Yeah, alongside the other two members of the big three in Africa, you have Cameroon and Nigeria. Both teams have made it to Global Trophy finals and have finished runner-up in that final match. Sometimes, like Cameroon, they've done it more than once. Senegal haven't even got close.
No, I think their best finish is a quarter-final.
I think potentially a semi-final, but that's the furthest they've gotten. They certainly haven't made it to a final as of yet.
Yeah, it's a shame because they clearly have the capability to pull an upset or two. So I want to see a big run from Senegal this year. I want to see them give some big teams a problem.
Yep. Well, they're the current African champions, so again could be a team on a rich vein of form.
Absolutely.
Rank 18. It's South Korea, the 2016 Global Trophy runners-up.
Oh, South Korea. That dream run of 2016, like it was crazy, wasn't it? The fact that they just made it all that way to the final. Never ever won an Asian championship. They've been Asian runners up a couple times, I think, but never won it. And they obviously they had to qualify via FIFA ranking this year because they didn't make it through on virtue of the fact that they got drew. Who did they get drew against last year? Was it Saudi? I can't remember. It might have been China actually. Thinking back, I can't remember. But either way, they had a pretty rubbish draw, and obviously they went out. This is one of the best Asian teams out there. Ignore the fact that they haven't won any Asian titles. This is one of the best ones.
Yep. But really, again, similar to Mexico, similar to a Saudi Arabia, we know what this team can do, and fingers crossed, this is the year they show it.
Yeah, they've kind of had a few quiet years. I think, did they make the Champion of Champions last time for 2022?
They didn't.
There you go. So, and in 2018, obviously, they did.
Yeah, 2018 they did make it.
They need to kind of pick up that form and quick.
Definitely. In rank 19, speaking of Asia, it's three-time Asian champions Iran.
Iran, again, another one of those strong teams. Last year they didn't make it through the Asian section qualifiers either. The very first Asian champion back in 2005, obviously 2013 they won it, in 2020 they were the champions. The Iranians, one of the strongest teams in Asia. I think they've also had decent runs in the Global Trophy in the past as well. I think top 8 certainly on a few occasions.
They have done decently well in the past, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but maybe a little bit on the decline these days.
Well, they've been doing okay at the moment, but then obviously again, you got to try and stick with consistency. And with 3 championships in 15 years, that's not much when it comes to consistency, really.
It's not, but I suppose at the same time they've won 3 championships and they're the second most successful, joint second most successful Asian team. So I guess you have to kind of look at it like that as well. They still won 3, which a lot of teams can't say.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's sort of either way, but Iran will be itching to try and get that 4th to join the 2 record holders in Asia, Saudi Arabia and Australia, wouldn't they?
Absolutely.
Then we get to our final rank here of our top 20. It's the Global Trophy Champions of 2022, Czech Republic.
The absolute wild card that Czech Republic were that year. The fact that they've also won a European Championship is crazy to me. Yep. They are an absolutely established team, and they were also in the year that they won the Global Trophy Championship. They were runners up to Germany in the European section as well. Yep. So it's not a fluke. They are a good team. It's just that in recent years, that form dial has been turned up to 11, and for a team that had to pre-qualify, I'm sure before, the fact they won the Global Trophy is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they won the first ever championship on YouTube, the European Championship of 2017, beating France to win that. But yeah, they have been pre-qualifiers before of Czech Republic, and they are actually very close this year of being in the preliminaries again. But they've been able to make it through this time round. Rank number 20. So they have stuck in the top 20 for now. They were ranked 19 last time round. And, but yeah, lowest amount of victories in the top 20. But they are Global Trophy champions. They've had their fairy tale story. Are they looking for a sequel?
It's so hard to say, isn't it? I mean, Czech Republic, with respect to or Czechia. Is it Czechia?
Czechia.
Czechia.
Okay.
To give them their informal name. With respect to that team in this game, it was an absolute 1,000,000 to 1 shot. It was an absolute 1,000,000 to 1 shot, and the fact that they went and won it is unbelievable. When teams like Italy haven't, and Nigeria haven't.
They are the Global Trophy's Leicester City.
They really this is Leicester City what you're looking at right here. So watch out. Czech Republic can clearly cause an upset. They're a former champion for a reason, but take it with a pinch of salt. They are not the most established team out there.
Certainly. So, with our top 20 set in, we got a couple more stats things we can show you. A couple of choice picks on our side. Let's kick off with, let's have a bit of a laugh, shall we? There you go. There's one.
The Global Trophy Champion of Champions Dud Team 2018-20. What an absolute notable performance that is from England.
Well, they've been eliminated on penalties 8 times.
8 out of 20 times on penalties defeated. Although in the last 4 years, they tend to lose to the team that go on to win a trophy that year, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, the only acceptance was last year, where England lost to Romania of all teams.
Yeah. It's sad, really, isn't it?
Yeah, England
so
have
sad.
appeared in more global trophies than actual victories they've gotten in global trophies before. This will be their 19th global trophy. They did miss out in the 2006 tournament. But they've only won 13 matches.
Yeah. The thing is, and the sad thing is, there is no reason why England can't do well. It's just they get very unlucky. They've in the last 5 years. Let's say since we started doing this on YouTube, right? There was a loss to Iceland, which embarrassing because of what happened in Euro 2016. But since then they've lost to Portugal twice, the Netherlands, Romania,
they lost the Netherlands twice.
Oh, the Netherlands twice and Romania. So
and Czech Republic in 2022, the year they became the champions.
So what more can you ask for? They just lost to good teams.
Yeah, but their global trophy rank 63. They were at one point ahead of I guess our northern brethren, but that is not the case anymore. As our next pick, just to lay the hammer in on England more, for God's sakes, can you actually make it through this time? Scotland's higher ranked than you.
Yeah. Scotland had to pre-qualify. Like more than once. And the fact is, their most notable moment in their history is when they beat Portugal in 2020. It's just, the teams that were at the time global trophy champions, like outright back-to-back champions.
Yep, and in the last 4 years, Scotland has made it to the global trophy finals twice.
Yeah, which is about the same time that England have in their entire history.
Yep, Scotland have actually made it to 3 global trophy finals. England's only made it to 2.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, really, isn't it? More wins as well for Scotland. They've won 16 matches compared to England's 13. Yeah.
Yep, and they're
not great.
Rank 57. They actually were. They finished in the top 16 last year, losing out to Argentina. So certainly not anything to write home about.
No, definitely. They look. All things being equal, Scotland are actually a fairly decent team in this game, but they probably shouldn't be making it through to the Global Trophy as regularly as they have done recently. But it's fantastic for them, and I know the Scots love seeing them do well against us in particular.
Oh yeah, the comments love it. Scotland are the fan favourites in the comments.
100%.
And last but not least, I guess we'll go for probably another big pick here because they are the Global Trophy runners-up after all from last year. The shocking Global Trophy runners-up. It's ranked 29, Ukraine.
I mean, that run was just insane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like they almost had it, but they just ran out of steam in the final. They beat Italy in the semis. They beat Portugal in the semis. They beat the UAE. No, Malaysia.
Yeah.
They had to play
Malaysia.
Russia. Let's play Russia in the round of
they
16.
beat Russia in the round of 16.
it was a beautiful moment for Ukraine, to go all that way to the second place, and good luck to them this year as well. Hopefully we'll see them perform just as well this time, but it's gonna be a big ask to repeat their heroics from 2023.
Yeah, I mean, Ukraine have appeared in global trophies before. They made it to round 2 on 4 occasions, but then they go ahead and do this. And as a result, in the global trophy rankings, they have risen 23 ranks because of their second place performance last year, up to rank 29 from rank 52.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the fact is that they've also basically pre-qualified for the Champion of Champions in 2026.
Yep, something that I don't believe they were actually able to do in the 2022 tournament. So
yeah, it's an amazing story, and good luck to them. Hopefully they take some names along the way.
You never know on that one. But guys, those are our top teams. Sam, who do you think your teams to watch are?
Well, I'd be silly to say anyone other than Argentina, wouldn't I? Argentina are obviously going to be the red-hot favourites going into this competition. They've, won the Champion of Champions last time, losing quarter-finalists last time against Portugal. But I'm going to play it quite safe on this one. I'm going to say we're going to see a big year for the Netherlands.
Ooh, a Netherlands resurgence.
I think so. I think they've had a bit of a lull for the last couple of years, and I think they've got to turn it on soon. So I think Argentina will win the whole thing. Dark horse, the Netherlands.
Okay. I'm gonna back Portugal.
Ooh.
I think that their run of performances that they've had over pretty much since they've won their first global trophy, apart from the 2020 tournament, they have been on one of the greatest runs of any global trophy team that's not named France or Argentina back in the early years. So I think that Portugal, if they can keep this run going, they've got a very good chance at it. If not, I'd say Argentina too, but I'm going to throw my dark horse in there, and I'm going to say Nigeria.
Oh, really? You're back in the African powerhouses?
Again, I'm with the comments. Like last year, I'm with the comments. I want one of them to win. Just so then we can all be happy, instead of just us being happy because we're creating something that's great.
Exactly.
But anyway, guys, that is it from our intro to the 2024, the 20th annual Global Trophy. We will see you very, very soon for the European preliminaries. I'm in Masterath.
Up in Sven-Göran 64.
And the 20th Global Trophy is soon to begin. Hooray!